Rant summer is here. Head on over to AJsRANTroom.com. We got all of your summer needs covered. From bathing suits to swim trunks, flip-flops and tote bags, towels, tanks, and muscle shirts. Oh, and you can't forget about the visors and the hats. It's lit. So head on over to AJsRANTroom.com and get your summer poppin'. You won't be disappointed. It's always lit over at AJsRANTroom.com. We got the best bags and accessories, our beloved Black Series. We got fresh lids for you hat lovers, fire jackets and hoodies, and of course we got you covered on the t-shirts. And introducing our first shoe line, Aloysius Germain. So get on over to AJsRANTroom.com today and get to shopping. You won't be disappointed. Free. Oh yeah. What's good, everybody? Sorry we were a couple of minutes late. It literally, my target order got here 1 minute before I had to go. And I knew they were going to do that. But at least I'm grateful they did it before and not after, so the stuff doesn't have to sit outside. Anyway, welcome to the Lunchtime RANT with AJ. I'm your boy AJ. Is it hump day? It's hump day, right? Happy hump day. Yes. It was back day. It hurts. And my legs hurt a lot from leg day yesterday. But either that's none of the complaints, right? Well, we're going to get through this. All right, cool. We have a lot to cover. So Gavin Newsome is running with this BS narrative that a lot of liberals have been running with for a while. But they do it on purpose. And the reason why they do it is because they make this a red versus blue thing versus a right versus wrong thing. And so this need to disparage red states for things that are not, in fact, the problem of the Republicans is really, it's glaring and it's annoying. Take a look.
Well, I think you should start with Shreveport, Louisiana, in Speaker Johnson's district that has 6+ times the per capita murder rate of Nancy Pelosi's San Francisco. What about the carnage, Mr. President, in Shreveport? Why aren't you protecting the folks there? 8 of the top 10 murder states in this country, red states. What bullshit. And everyone knows it. Everybody knows it. Again, it's acts of authoritarianism. It's acts of power on a person that is trying to use his its formal authority, and it's depleting. And it's weak. It's increasingly weak, and it's increasingly desperate. And that's why it's important for us at this moment to meet him head on, not just rhetorically, but through substantive counteractions. And that's what we're doing in California with this ballot initiative.
All right, so this Nepo baby is very annoying, first of all, because he didn't have to earn a damn thing in his life. Everything has pretty much been laid out on a platter for him. All he had to do was stand there and be pretty. Remember when the people's house burned down in Pacific Palisades and his wife is shopping in Beverly Hills? Like, really, lady? Really? That's the priority right now. Let's go shopping. She had the big black bodyguard with her, and she's shopping on Rodeo Drive, and the people just lost everything. The last thing we want to see is you shopping. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Nepo baby. Let's be very, very clear. 8 of the top 10 murder states in this country are red states. Oh, no, 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 sir. Let's be very, very clear. It's the blue cities in those red states. Now, I didn't look up. Hold on. Let me look up right quick. Port. I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but okay, here we go. So, the current mayor of Shreveport, Louisiana is Tom Arano. He was elected in December 2022 and is the city's first Republican mayor since 1998. So this is mainly a Democrat run city, right? And so and you see how he cherry picked, right? So he cherry picked Shreveport, Louisiana, because at the moment a Republican is in as mayor, right? So he cherry picked that, right? But what he failed to do was give the backstory, first of all. But of course, these are the boneheads who follow this man, right? They will believe anything he says. Oh, that person's a Republican. He's been there since 2022. He's supposed to sweep in the town and clean everything up in 5 minutes. Get the hell on with this, people. Number two, the top 10 Democrat run, top 10 violence, and I've gone over this on this live stream before. The top 10 most violent cities in this country are all Democrat ran. Chicago, Newark, New Jersey, Memphis, Tennessee. This must be, wait, where did they pull this data from? Because this is 2024. Okay, got it. Kansas City, Missouri, violent. Las Vegas, Nevada, violent. Cleveland, Ohio. Detroit, Michigan. New Orleans, Louisiana, where homegirl just got indicted, right, for getting the eggplant from the bodyguard and then trying to charge the taxpayer so she could do it. Okay, cool, right. Baltimore, Maryland. Isn't that with the mayor that dresses casually? And he just looked like the average black kid going to college. Yeah, that person. And then you have St. Louis, Missouri. These are all heavily Democrat ran cities, not just the mayor, but the city councils and all the way down the list. So stop playing in our face, people. And this is what, when people come to like, oh, the poorest states are the red. No, it's the welfare recipients in those highly populated, those densely populated metroplexes. Those are the people sucking the resources. Not to say that there aren't poor people in the rural part, but we're talking about those. You're talking about numbers, right? Right. Densely populated metroplexes full of broke ass people killing each other. That ain't got nothing to do with the governor of that state and everything to do with the local jurisdictions. But again, when you have politically ignorant people and a Nepo baby who thinks he's going to be president, if this man gets anywhere near the White House, America is stupid. But again, I understand Democrats. The pickings are slim. The pickings are very, very slim. But even Joe Scarborough, who gets on my nerves a lot, had a little bit of advice for these dummy-crats.
Democrats are trying to find their footing, and it's quite embarrassing, actually.
It is.
I mean, Gavin Newsome. I mean, have you seen what he's doing online? And say, just take a deep breath. Yeah. Don't try to turn the ship 180 degrees and they don't know what to do. I have a good idea. Instead of trying to make school Donald Trump, talk into the camera about affordability. Talk about making groceries like more affordable.
They can't do that because, first of all, nobody would believe them. You've had decades to get this done, right? All of these mayors, all of these local politicians, all of these city councils who are responsible for gentrification and redlining and commercial codes and all of that stuff, y'all had decades to rectify this. Decades. So, what you gonna get on the screen in 2025 and say, "Yeah, well, trust me again"? That's like the woman or the man in the domestic violence situation getting knocked upside the head, and it's like, "All right, baby, I know I popped you like 45 times, but come back a 46th time." It's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. We won't even believe it.
Talk about what you're going to do for housing. Talk about what you're going to do for energy prices.
Oh, please. So then he points out New Jersey here. Like, well, that's a New Jersey problem, right? Who are the majority of folks in charge of New Jersey? Okay, moving on.
Continue to go up. We heard the congressman yesterday talk about energy prices skyrocketing in New Jersey. Don't try. As I've been saying, Donald Trump's not on the ballot in 26. He's not on the ballot in 28. Why try to drag Muhammad Ali in the ring when you got Chuck Wepner standing right in front of you? And Wepner.
That's pretty dope, though, comparing Trump to Muhammad Ali, though. I'm just saying, I mean, technically, they're both Dodge drafters, right? I love how it's okay for Muhammad Ali to dodge the draft, but not Trump, right? But anyway, no, yeah, he's not on the ballot in those years, but his influence will be felt for decades to come, right? Long after Trump is gone, the influence, the way he came in and uprooted the Republican Party forever, because nobody's going back to factory default. Nobody's doing that. We're not going back to business as usual. So yeah, technically he's not on the ballot, but he is. JD Vance is a product of the Trump train, and he's going to come in 2028, and most likely will pick up the mantle right where Trump left off. He probably won't be as aggressive, but he is aggressive in his very JD Vance way.
Wepner's a bleeder. He's a bleeder. You want him. So why are you going, I'm going after Donald? No, you're not. You're not running against Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Go after Tweedledee or Tweedledum. Chuck Wepner, a bleeder. Go after him.
Tweedledee, Tweedledum. They can't do it. First of all, Trump is a marquee name, right? He brings attention, which is we'll talk about joyless Reid in a little bit. Every time it's time to drum up some traction, let's talk about Donald Trump. Let's disparage Donald Trump in some way. Trump, 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 Trump. Y'all have made Trump this larger than life figure, right? Y'all have been crying about Donald Trump ever since he came down that escalator in 2015. Y'all have not stopped. Y'all have not let up. And in fact, when you won the election in 2020, you just made it worse because you gave him 4 years to regroup, remix, and do it the way he really wanted to do it. Because if you had just let him go back to back, it would, first of all, it would be over by now. And number two, he probably wouldn't have been as successful because he was still figuring out that whole Washington machine, right? Now he's in. There's nothing y'all can do right now, and y'all can't orchestrate anything crazy because they're stripping security clearances like you wouldn't believe right now. So good luck. Good luck to Gavin Newsome in 28. Good luck with your BS rhetoric, and stop giving people inaccurate data, please. Stop giving them inaccurate data. That the most violent cities in this country are in red states or purple states. So go play with somebody else. Anyway, moving on. Is Cam Newton broke? I don't know. The NFL quarterback, says he struggles with no longer being, quote, Superman. That was one of his sticks, when he would score a touchdown, he would pull open like Superman. Anyway, he can no longer being Superman to his 8 kids after losing his NFL salary. He says, quote, being in the NFL, everyone knows there's a large sum of money that comes to you in a short span of time. And being away from the game for 3 years, those checks don't come in the same. Like, I got 8 kids. It hurts. It hurts me knowing that I can't provide like I once did. It hurts thinking that I'm Superman, but in reality, I'm just a man. Cam Newton made about $133 million in his NFL career. Listen, I don't feel. First of all, Cam Newton broke is not like you and I broke, right? Let's just be clear, right? That's the first thing, right? So he's broke. He's just not making as much money. He's making money, trust me. But the first problem here is having all of these children out of wedlock from multiple women and thinking that somehow this was going to end up well. Because first of all, every child's mother has different needs. Every child has different needs. And now your seeds are all over the place, right? No, it's not like y'all in one big compound, and like all the kids live there and all the women live there. That's not what's happening, right? These women have to go on with their lives and probably date and get married or whatever they want to do. So that was where you messed up, Superman. Like if you had just kept your dick in your pants or wrapped it up, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. Kids are expensive. They are. They're very expensive. They fall, they hurt themselves, they get sick for no damn reason. And God forbid if they're special needs, that's even more money. So yeah, this is on you, Cameron. These are your life choices that brought you to this moment. Not to mention, this $133 million sounds very fruitful, right? But you got to break down that 133, right? So half of it goes to the government. Boom. Okay, that's gone. Then you got to factor in the agent that negotiated the deal, the manager, and the lawyers. So they all get their piece. But they don't get their piece from what's left. They get their piece from the 133 million. So remember, half that went to taxes, right? Oh, you people, you people, you people, do you not think about these things? You have the precedents before you, Cam. You had so many football players go broke. Mind you, football players really just started making good money, to be honest. Like before, football players were playing until like body parts were falling off because they literally had to just keep playing to support themselves because they weren't making like the money they make now, right? And I respect football players for the way they negotiate today and the way they take the reins of their careers. But you had the precedent before you, Cam. You had so many athletes of many different sports go broke being financially irresponsible, and you thought you were going to be an exception to the rule. Maybe you thought you were going to play longer. I don't know what you thought. But and that YouTube money ain't going to, unless you do like a Shannon Sharp, Cat Williams interview, which I don't think you've had an interview on that level yet. Um, you won't be seeing that kind of money. I mean, but again, you're not a scrub, but you should have anticipated. You should have planned better. And I mean, I don't feel bad for you. I mean, I'll take your broke over my broke any day. so don't cry for me, Argentina. All right, let's talk about this dork. Um, does he don't even look like somebody named Hakeem. Like when I think of Hakeem, I think of like a, a flat top fade, strong dude. You know what I'm saying? Yo, what's up? I'm Hakeem. Hakeem, yo, what's up, Hakeem? He don't even look like a Hakeem. And I don't know what he looks like, but he don't look like a Hakeem. Anyway, Hakeem Jeffries had to sit in an interview and hear the good news. You want to hear the good news? Let's hear the good
All
news.
I can tell you is that the inflation rate itself was 2.7% in the most recent read year over year versus it got to a high of 9% under Biden. Stocks are at record highs. Unemployment is 4.2%. That's full employment. The GDP was 3%. The border is actually secure. We've got trade deals with EU, Japan, many more in the works, and trillions of dollars of foreign investment coming here. Iran's nuclear ambitions have been set back indefinitely. And I just wrote down a few things. So I just have to ask you, where is the calamity that you're talking about? And it almost seems like for Democrats, socialism is the answer to these problems. Or, I don't know, what, an end of democracy or something? We just don't get it.
The calamity is, niggas ain't getting preferential treatment. That's the calamity in the Democrat mind, in blacktivist minds. Which way? Yeah, in the blacktivist mind, the calamity is we're not getting preferential treatment anymore. The calamity is we can't just put up any old random stupid person because now we know that the bar has been set, right? Trump is setting the bar for the future, right? And anybody who does not meet that bar, doesn't matter what color you are, if you're just subpar, you're not getting in. That's it, period. And that's the way it should be, especially in American leadership. We can't just be letting Hakeem Jeffries would have never happened. without special treatment. This dork isn't a leader. His own caucus doesn't listen to him. His own caucus. He has no clue what he knows what to do as well, he's a House minority leader, but as a Speaker of the House as well, he knows those basic tasks. But in terms of leading the Democrat Party, nobody really cares. They do what they want. Democrats are out of control. There's no daddy in the house because all of the kids are scrambling. You got Jasmine Crockett out here popping off at the mouth. She ain't been reeled in yet. But hey, this is the dork who also wants to be president in 2020. Could you imagine this debating JD Vance? Could you imagine this dork? White supremacist. That'll be an easy day at work for JD Vance. You're like, damn, this is too easy. Give me somebody that's gonna challenge me, bro. Y'all want to talk about racism and abortion? And nobody cares. These social issues should have never been in politics in this way. And this is in the days of being able to emotionally manipulate smart people, because of course, there's enough dummies who will still vote for y'all, but you're not going to get the majority. You're not going to get the majority, especially the independents is what you really need, right? Your base is your base. They're always going to support your dumbasses no matter what. But when it comes to those independents, those clear thinking, the ones who clear the board and say, yes, okay, let me look at everything. Those are the people you really got to think about winning over. And y'all ain't going to win people over with socialism. And you're not going to win them over with social issues. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody's civil rights is in jeopardy. You don't want mentally ill people serving in your military. Because let's be very, very clear. The reason why a lot, not all, but a lot of transgendered people join the military is to get their surgery paid for. That's it. That's literally the reason why a lot of these people join. They don't join because they love America. They don't join because they really want to serve. They don't want to go fight. They know they can't go fight. They're just here doing their time so they can get their windang doodle cut off or their breast cut off or whatever it is they want to do. Facial feminization surgery, whatever. But it ain't about loving America, and it ain't about America first. It's about them first. So yeah, when you have to sit there and read the record, and I added some things to the record. But yeah, 2.7% inflation, stocks at record highs, record low illegal immigration, unemployment at 4.2%. And that's the real jobs, not the fake jobs that they add into the job reports. Trade deals with the EU and Japan and more coming soon. The GDP is at 3%. Billions in tariff revenue, and then the argument about tariffs and where tariffs come from and who pay tariffs and how tariffs. Shut up, y'all. Everyone's an expert all of a sudden. Nobody was an expert when Joe Biden was president. Nobody knew a damn thing. Oh, he's doing a great job. Yeah. But now all of a sudden Trump's president, everybody's an expert. Great. Moving on. Trillions of dollars in foreign investment. American jobs prioritized. Yeah, that's why the parts for foreign cars have gone up. Yeah, because we don't want you driving foreign cars in America. Drive American vehicles. That's why you're going to get a good bunch of great tax write-offs for driving American vehicles. Cities are safer. Not all, but especially Washington, D.C. And I'm sure if Trump could get in those other cities, I'm sure that his team is figuring out a way to do that. Peace negotiations, and I ended 7 wars in 8 months. Okay. Iran's nuclear ambition has been halted indefinitely. Russia-Ukraine negotiations in progress. This man hit the ground running. You can't compete. Hakeem Jeffries could never compete with this record, and this is just 8 months in. So imagine 3 years from now what we'll be saying. Okay. Moving on. Yeah, I know y'all ain't got nothing. Yeah, because y'all can come in here and emotionally appeal to emotion or try to bring up the one thing you don't like, or even like yesterday in my live stream talking to this bonehead Kiki. He brings up the price of bananas. Like the price of bananas is breaking the American people's back. So my follow-up question. So what is the average price of bananas in the United States? Oh, you know, I don't know. It's just on the list. Again, these aren't issues you care about. These are you trying to nitpick and find something you don't like. That's what you people do. And you try to say, oh, bananas, banana prices, they haven't gone down on every day. Bananas went up 25 cents. Y'all will find anything to cry about just to cry. Anyway, moving on. Joyless Reid needs some attention this week. So she's getting it, of course, from the right. And because when you lose your job and you ain't got much else going on and you're trying to figure out whose name? I said someone's name. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, a lot. I've said a lot. So she gets on the TikToks and says this stupid thing.
The people who now no longer have to worry about competition to get into Harvard and Columbia and Yale, or to get the jobs they want, or the military appointments that they want, or the jobs in the Trump administration that they want. They don't have to worry about competition from black and brown people, because Stephen Miller and Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth from Fox and all the other people who are unqualified for their jobs are deleting all the blacks and the browns and making sure that they all get deported and locked up so that they don't have to compete and cannot compete with the people who, frankly, aren't qualified but have the right complexion for the connection when it comes to MAGA.
What the fuck did she just say? So now if you're white, you're unqualified, basically. All the white people, y'all not qualified unless she likes you, unless she agrees with you, unless y'all both talking that good slavery smack. You're not qualified. Ma'am, the only reason why you're here is because white people went into your poor ghetto neighborhood and plucked your ass out of obscurity. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. Otherwise, you probably would have went to an HBCU or some other type of local college or something, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with a HBCU or a local college. But sitting here acting like black and brown people were this big threat to white people in the corporate world and in the political world. No. This is when you feel entitled to something, right? This is not you're qualified. This is entitlement, right? So when you don't earn it, which is what okay, let's go back a little bit. Affirmative action, at one point there was a need for it, but it never grew with the country. So as the country grew, affirmative action just stayed this stagnant thing. But the country has grown. So we have to then evolve the policy, right? The policy has to evolve with the country. That was the problem with affirmative action. Then y'all threw another thing in, and then y'all threw something else. Then you threw DEI in there. And then you have Asian students suing because they have to do more to get the same damn thing, and blacks have to do less. And then if you look at the stats, blacks drop out because what? They get in there, they get overwhelmed, and then they end up going somewhere where they're a little more apt to succeeding. But this racist, stupid, divisive, reductive, ridiculous stuff is just it's tired. It's played out. I'm bored. I'm sure everybody listening to me is bored. She's even bored. This is why she gets on here and says this radical stuff, because she has nothing else to do at this point except jump on TikTok and try to find her way as she finds her next gig to spread her propaganda and her BS. And she's not a dumb woman. She's a smart woman. She's smart enough to say the stupid things that she says because she knows it's really not, this is not about the substance. This is about the emotion. This is about to get black people riled up and keep black people mad at white people, which then in turn get white people mad at black people, and you keep the division going because division is what? A business. Joyless Reid. You need some eggplant, don't you, Joey? You need some eggplant, don't you, Joy? Because I don't understand people who turn on their camera phones and say, "Oh yeah, all of these people who have jobs in the Trump administration, they didn't earn it." You know, Pete Hegseth, and then black people, the black people who do work in the Trump administration, y'all go out of y'all way to disparage them, right? You go out of your way. Any black person that wants to work with the Trump administration, y'all cry in a river. Coon, Uncle Tom, you selling out. How you go over there? How dare you do that? Why you go do that? All the time. Never fails. Stop playing in our face, people. Stop playing in our face. This is pathetic. We got to do better as black folks, as Americans in general. Because this constant living out of the extremes of our respective groups is crazy. It's ridiculous. We got to do, yeah. We got to evolve past this, but of course we won't until she's happy. And I don't know what will make her happy. Maybe some anyway, moving on. Speaking of Trump, so a psychopath decided to threaten his life, and she thought that was going to end well for her. It's called getting arrested, dummy. You don't threaten the life of the president.
An Indiana woman now facing federal charges after making death threats toward President Trump. The DOJ says Natalie Rose Jones posted on social media earlier this month that she was, quote, willing to sacrificially kill the president. On Saturday, she was arrested in D.C. after admitting to Secret Service that she did make those threats.
She did come from New York to Washington, D.C., and she has been threatening and calling for the removal of the president, and even worse, as she got to D.C., her threats were on Facebook and Instagram, and she continued to call the president a terrorist and was working to have him eliminated.
Pirro says that she will be prosecuted, quote, to the fullest extent of the law.
Could you imagine waking up every day of your life so mad at somebody you don't know because they won fair and square, they won the election fair and square, and it's not about you liking everything he does or even liking, I mean, you can't dislike him as a person because you don't know him as a person, but you can say, I don't like his policies, you can say, I don't agree with this, I don't agree with that, but when you graduate to that next level of retarded, I think the law should have just permit a citizen to take you out at that point. When you start acting like a rabid animal, foaming at the mouth, and everything you do is the mission is to kill Bill. When the mission is to kill Bill, yeah, I think you should be neutralized. You should be neutralized. And the fact that you went from New York to Washington, D.C., and you even told the Secret Service, yeah, these type of people, there's no place in our society for this debauchery. I've never been a Democrat. I've voted for a couple of Democrats in my life, but I've never been one. Even with Joe Biden, even with Barack Obama, there's no part of me that would ever say, hey, I'm so livid with these people that I don't want them to be alive. How ridiculous is that? How pathetic is that? You animals sit here and talk about terrorism while doing terroristic shit? Huh? You dummy. You threaten the life of a sitting president. Good luck. Good luck in prison. Hopefully the dummies that put you up to it put some money on your books, because that type of derangement, it has no place in the free. You should never be free. You should never, ever, ever, ever be free with that mentality. You need your ass kicked. Let me move on before I say something crazier. Anyway, we'll be back in a moment. All right, so Fredo, remember when Trump called him Fredo? Chris Cuomo is, confusing myself and many others, but he was talking to Benny Johnson, who's I don't know if you don't know who Benny Johnson is. He's a conservative creator, content creator. And he had some interesting thoughts on the current Democrat Party, the old Democrat Party, his brother being a Democrat, et cetera, et cetera. Take a look.
Brother's a Democrat. I don't know why, but he is. My father was a Democrat. I know exactly why he was, but his party doesn't exist anymore.
Facts.
And while I had disagreements with my father about different issues, I knew what principles were guiding him.
Can you unpack something for me that you just said that I
Please.
found fascinating? You said that my father's Democrat Party and your father ran
Yes.
for president as a Democrat. This is correct. And he led the state of New York as governor as a
Yes,
Democrat.
3 terms.
He was he was Mr. Democrat.
Yes.
Right. And he was an iconoclast.
Liberal
for the
lion.
He was an iconoclast for the Democrat Party. You can't go anywhere in New York without finding Cuomo on the name of a bridge or a road. And so you say that his party doesn't exist anymore. Unpack that for me.
So my father's battle was against trickle-down economics and Reagan Republicanism, okay? The Democratic Party that he fought for and the Republican Party that he fought against, neither exists anymore. My father's party was take care of the little guy, take care of the little guy, take care of the little guy. Stay out of our bedroom, stay out of my heart, okay? Just do all the government we need, but only the government we need. And we're a secular society. Don't put anything else on me. That's who they were. Republicans at that time were teaching to the top, for the top, about the top. Everybody should see the world through the eyes of the top, and everything else is great because the top has it great. That was the conflict. Now it's the left arguing for a cultural elite. This is how you will talk about people, Benny. This is how you will raise your kids. This is what you will tell them is okay. This is what, you will say and not say. And the Republicans are, this system sucks. All the little people are getting squashed. These elites are killing us. Anti-everything. They flipped.
I don't think they flipped. I think what happened, which is what happened with Trump with me, is that Republicans, the ones who lurked in the shadows with that mentality, but couldn't really say it because they weren't part of that brass elite part of the Republican Party. It was always there. It was just now you got somebody in there with the balls to bust all of this up and say, hey, we're done with this business. Like I said earlier, business as usual. We're not going back to business as usual. So yeah, the Democrats lost the 2024 election because they did not placate to the working man. And the working men who voted for them are just stupid, misinformed, and stupid people, right? And if you don't look at these people and understand that when Michelle Obama is standing there at the DNC talking about, oh, how, you can't afford this and you can't even, she ain't speaking from her personal life. Michelle is speaking from the privilege, trying to act like she's still down with the folks in the street, and she's not. She's not Michelle Obama from the South Side anymore. She's Michelle Obama, former First Lady. Lifestyle's different. Everything's different. She's up in her suite. She came down to talk to you common people and went right back up to her suite. Like, what did she say on her podcast? She has a 4-car motorcade. Yeah, she has a 4-car motorcade. Michelle Obama is not the average person in America. And so when they get on these stages and they try to act like they're so hip and they're so down, like Jasmine Crockett and AOC and Ayanna Presley and Rashida Tlaib, these people are not average regular people. These are people who have access to privilege. Not all of them were born into privilege, but at this point, they have access to privilege. And so sitting here acting like you would understand the struggle of the average person while placating to elitists, when Hillary Clinton actually started this in the 2016 election, when she refused to go to the common man. She refused to go to middle America and campaign. She thought, oh, I'm Hillary Clinton. I could do it however I want to do it. That's not how it works, boo. That's not how it works. You still got to campaign. That's why Trump was everywhere. Trump was driving a garbage truck. Trump worked at McDonald's. Trump did everything. But the difference between y'all and Trump is Trump acknowledges his privilege. He knows that his privilege is an anomaly. He knows that. How I live is not how most Americans live. And he's clear about that. Y'all, on the other hand, will pretend like you understand while living this vastly crazy privileged life. Maxine Waters is another one. You think Maxine Waters' daughter went to Crenshaw High School? No. She went to the top, the elite, the creme de la creme. God knows how much money it costs per year school. That's where she went. So they're not like you. And he's absolutely right with that part. But that part of the Republican Party that he talked about, it never flipped. It was always there. It was always there.
In terms of their operative animus and their constituencies out of convenience and time. So my father's party is no more. Socialism, he believed that the opportunity to be part of a free market was exactly why his parents, illiterate, unsophisticated, untrained, except with a heart, 3 sizes too big, filled with ambition and dreams, to come to be able to compete, without some feudal system on your head in rural Italy where they were telling you who you could be and how you could be, was worth everything. The idea of going to socialism, not socialistic. Yes, public education. Yes, entitlements. Yes, there are socialistic aspects to our constitutional republic within a capitalistic model that work. They work for the collective. That's what we do. But it's a capitalistic society. No Democrat ever argued for anything else. No Democrat would have argued for open borders. None of this. My father would have done none of this.
Fredo is right. Fredo ain't wrong here. Fredo is absolutely right here. Bill Clinton, when was Bill Clinton advocating for open borders, pro-illegal immigration? In fact, Hillary Clinton is on the record, Bill Clinton's on the record, Joe Biden's on the record, Barack Obama's on the record, all going hard at illegal immigration. Now, all of a sudden, being illegal is like the new black. And then they talk about, Republicans are placating to the rich, and they want a permanent work. No, y'all want a permanent slave class. Because like I said on 2 days ago, I believe 2 shows ago, y'all need to keep people in perpetual cycles of some sort of slavery. Now, you can't not pay people, but you can pay people like 5 cents. But you can't pay an American 5 cents. So what do? You advocate for these illegal immigrants to come in this country because you know they can't fight. You know they can't fight. You know they can't go say, hey, I'm not being paid fairly. Can you pay me more? You know the options are limited for where they can go outside of your farm or whatever it is that they're doing for you. That's today's Democrat Party. No American should be pro-illegal immigration. That's it. Every country has their own process for becoming a citizen, and you have to respect that, right? For some reason, when the United States does it under Donald Trump, it's now the biggest existential crisis in the world. Now, look, you got people, literally, people are being offered money to self deport, bro. Just do it and come back and do it the right way. People are being offered to do it the right way. You just got to get online. You got to get online, pay the fees, get the sponsors, do all the stuff you need to do, and then assimilate. I don't get it. I don't get it.
And why? Because those were the ideals of the party.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's different.
What would your father have said about defund the police?
Nigga.
It would have been laughable. It would have been laughable. But people didn't say things like that, Benny. They didn't say wildly outrageous. Like, my father would have picked up the phone and called Donald right away and said, called the president right away and said to him, your father would never want to hear you say that again. He used to put all kinds of people into his buildings. Yeah, you guys got jammed up. He learned a lesson from that. He believed in having as big a pool of people as possible. When the president then running said, Islam hates us, my father would have called him up and put him in check and said, we don't talk like that about an entire group of people.
Well, no, not the entire group of people. I agree with that because, again, we placate to the extremes of all of our groups. But when you look at the refugee population of the world and why the majority of them are Muslims and why they don't seek refuge in other Muslim nations, you gotta take pause as to what is the greater mission here. What's the greater mission?
Not where we come from, not where we come from in Queens, where we were all otherized, them for being Germans, the Trumps, everybody had their little bucket for a while until they assimilated. And today it's all provocative bullshit all the time. No responsibility, no accountability. You just move on to the next. And it gets us views, it gets us clicks, but it's not getting us to a better place.
And that's a fact. That's a fact. Fredo's making sense these days. Getting fired from CNN was probably the best thing for Fredo. Because once he got fired, there was no longer, he didn't have to placate to the stupidity. Because remember, he was anti-Trump, and he had to get on there every day and do the crossover with Don Lemon and then be anti-Trump and crazy. So I appreciate this, Chris Cuomo. Fredo, you're doing good, kid. Your father would be proud. So moving on to our last story. Woke is broke. Yes. I was getting a few messages in my live stream yesterday. Oh, how do you feel about Donald Trump removing woke, quote unquote, wokeness from museums? Well, first of all, you can't do it to all museums. But we get it. Again, it's one thing to know your history. It is another to live in it. It is another to perpetually say that something is bad. Everything is bad. It's bad all the time. And so he posted this truth. The museums throughout Washington, but all over the country, are essentially the last remaining segment of woke. The Smithsonian is out of control, where everything discussed is horrible. Is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been. Nothing about success, nothing about brightness, nothing about the future. We are not going to allow this to happen. And I have instructed my attorneys to go through the museums and start the exact same process that has been done with colleges and universities, where tremendous progress has been made. This country cannot be woke because woke is broke. We have the hottest country in the world, and we want people to talk about it, including in our museums. Where did he lie? Where's the lie? Where's the lie, people? Having an anti-America museum in America is like when folks get on their social media platforms and they're like, oh, and they're white and I hate white people. Where white people are all this, or when black people get on, oh, black people, all black people, and it's like, why would you just disparage? Like, what are the solutions? What are the resolutions? Yeah, call out the problems, but what are the resolutions? What are the solutions? What are some possible ways to make this work? But when it comes to wokeness there's wokeness in the awareness, like the concept of woke did not start out as a bad concept, right? The problem is, again, when you cross that line and you start going beyond and you get deranged and everything is now a problem. All of America is a problem. Any aspect of American history is a problem. I could never imagine teaching my child that, oh, yeah, all you were a descendant of slaves. That's all you ever were. There were no accomplishments in your bloodline. There was no goodness in your bloodline, no history. There was no good history. Everything was just down. Tell it on the mountain. It wasn't always like that. And I'm so bored. I'm so bored. I'm so bored. I'm so bored. Oh. Wait a minute. I don't even know if this showed. Oh, wait, it didn't. That's a glitch because it should have showed here, but it shows here. So odd. Anyway, Trump expands woke criticism from Smithsonian to other museums. President Trump expanded his criticism of the Smithsonian Institution to include other museums in a long social media post on Tuesday. Quote, the museums throughout Washington. Yeah, I read all that already. Right. The post emphasized his ongoing displeasure with the Smithsonian, describing it as out of control and suggesting that museums around the country may face similar scrutiny. Yeah, if you want this federal money, yeah, you're going to get it right. President Trump will explore all options and avenues to get woke out of the Smithsonian and hold them accountable, the White House said in a statement to NPR. He will start with the Smithsonian and then go from there. In an August 12th letter to the Smithsonian Secretary Lonnie Bunch, White House representatives said they plan to conduct an audit of 8 Smithsonian museums to ensure alignment with the president's directive to celebrate American exceptionalism, remove divisive or partisan narratives, and restore confidence in our shared cultural institutions. These are the and people don't understand that, right? So when you post, it's like sports, right? Museums is supposed to be the one thing that brings us together, like sports brings us together, like entertainment brings us together. Like when you go to a concert, I don't give a frog's fat ass who you voted for. Get up there, sing, dance, rap, twerk, whatever you're supposed to be doing for me. That's what I need you to be doing. I don't need to hear about your political beliefs. I want to hear the songs. Trump's post on Truth Social accused the Smithsonian of presenting a narrative of how horrible the country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been. Nothing about success. Yeah, we read all that. A number of museum and historical associations, including the Organization of American Historians and the American Association for State and Local History, have pushed back against what the American Alliance of Museums described as, quote, growing threats of censorship against U.S. museums. No, if you're accepting federal money, here's the thing. If I take money, like when we get to the point in this experience in the rant room where we're accepting sponsorships, there may be stipulations that those sponsors have. And if you can't agree to those stipulations, don't accept the money. That's how that works, right? If you can't agree to those stipulations, like if they said, "Oh, we don't want you to talk about this, or we don't want you to get to this, or to," then and I don't agree to it, then I'm not doing it. That's it. Don't accept the money, and then when you're self-funding and doing it yourself, you ain't got to worry about what anybody else. Nobody can come in and make you change a damn thing. But when you're accepting that government money, if the government says, "Hey, you're doing too much," you either lose the funding or you get some act right. So yeah, I would, you want to celebrate American exceptionalism, but that doesn't mean nothing happened and America was perfect. But when it's always like this dreary, dreadful. America is just terrible. And oh my gosh, there were slaves. Well, the affirmative would be that America was the first country to officially abolish it, right? And it was white people who were instrumental in abolishing that. Slavery couldn't have been abolished without white people, without white abolitionists, right? Without Union soldiers. There couldn't be an end to slavery. So why isn't that the bigger story, right? That we overcame, right? We overcame, right? All right, cool. Not saying forget about it, not saying it didn't happen, nobody saying it was great. But when it's always about the past, the past, the past, the past, what it was, what it was, what it was, no, that's just it's just not a it's terrible. It's terrible for everybody. Like again, it's supposed to be a unifying thing. And there's a way to tell the story without being like a Debbie Downer or annoying. You know what I'm saying? This is not just a concern for select institutions. The AAM said in an August 15 statement, these pressures can create chilling effects across the entire museum sector. Freedom of thought and expression are foundational American values, and museums uphold them by creating spaces where they can engage with history, science, art, and culture in ways that are honest, fact-based, and thought-provoking. Yeah. Anyway, the White House did not respond to a request for comment about whether governmental review of museums could have a chilling effect on the institutions by threatening their free speech rights and limiting their ability to openly and honestly engage with the public. Cry me a river. Cry me a river. This is why you start your own museums with your own money, and you don't have to worry about this. See, I solved the problem. See how quickly I solved the problem, y'all. That's all you gotta do is just listen to AJ. I'm pretty matter of fact about things. Anyway, that's our show for today. I appreciate y'all so much for tuning in and listening to me rant through all of these stories. If you would like to support the channel, you can go to AJsRANTroom.com. That's AJsRANTroom.com. We don't sell this shirt anymore because Kamala lost. But yeah, this is my Kamala shirt. And but this Tom hat is still at AJsRANTroom.com if you would like to go purchase it. We have political stuff, we have inspirational stuff, we have gym bags, duffel bags, backpacks, faith-based stuff. Yeah, we got a variety of stuff over there at AJsRANTroom.com, and we work hard over here. So go support a brother. Keep me on the air. And did I have an announcement? No, I didn't. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Is there? Hold on. I don't think there is. Nope, I think that's it. Anyway, I appreciate y'all so much for watching. Thank you so much. And have a blessed day. And I will be live on the TikTok later to be annoyed and things of that nature. Peace.